So here we are again, everyone, at pot number 1, and now we are 21 days into this experiment. Now let's have a look and see. And this was the pot with just all the yogurt, and that has literally pretty much all turned to soil. It was very dry, if you remember, about a week ago. Look at that now. There's still a few little spots of the yogurt. And you can see some little bugs in there doing their thing. But it's pretty much all just soil now. See that? Just yogurt. And there's not the occasional ant in there. There's not many soldier flies left in there now because there's not much left to eat. There's one there. There's still baby ones, so there's obviously still food in there for them to eat. I could wait another week and see if any worms move in there, but it's probably getting a bit dry now for the worms, although we might have a bit of rain today, and if that gets nice and wet, the worms might move in there. I could probably add some water, but for the sake of the experiment we'll just leave it again for another week. And that one has not been touched by the turkeys or any other animal. I'll just cover it up. Now moving on to pot 2, you can see the bush turkeys have hardly touched this week. There's a little tiny hole down the side here, and I'm guessing that was probably the ibis that was in the garden this morning and not so much the bush turkey. So let's have a look. Now if you remember correctly, that was up to about here when we first filled this up 3 weeks ago. And if you can see down the bottom there, it's really gone down quite a lot. Well over halfway. Let's have a look at all those contents now. And we haven't added any water to this at all. There's still lots of bugs. See how big those soldier flies are now. Look at them. So there's still lots of stuff in there for them to eat. Now again, because I've disturbed that, there's a slight odour, but there was no odour until I disturbed it. So I could just leave them munching away there now and that'll all disappear. But oh, look at them there. So there's some big ones and there's some little ones. That's pretty good for this time of year. So they've still got a bit of a way to go, but another week you'll probably see that decomposed. That's that bit of onion that we started with, which we didn't break up, we didn't cut, we didn't do anything to it. And they're just munching away on it, doing their thing. So what I'm going to actually do this week, we know that's working away well, and probably another week it'll be pretty much gone. But I'm going to put some pineapple in here, and I'm going to do a little test. If you have a look at pot number 3 over here, pot number 3 is there, and you can see that the bush turkey has hardly touched it at all as well. So I'm thinking that the contents in here now in pot number 2 are now on the nose enough for them not to want to eat it. And so I'm going to do this test with this pineapple. Now I've had this fresh pineapple in the fridge for the last week because I wanted it to be fresh today, and I'm going to put that in pot number 3. And I've had this pineapple sitting on the bench with this lid on it for a week now, and it's pretty bad. So let's have a look at it. Oh, look at that. Now you could say that that's well and truly fermented and starting to mould and everything. You don't need to wait that long obviously for something to go that bad, but I would say that's almost vinegary now, which is interesting. Could be kombucha. But I'm going to put that in there because I think that's fermented enough, and I'm going to put that in here now. And I have a fairly good suspicion that the bush turkeys won't even go near that this week. But I want to see if they'll go near the fresh stuff. So I'm going to put the lid back on there. Cover that up again. So here we are, pot number 3. And this was the one that had the satay in it and the sour cream. Oh, it's pretty much all soil now. Look at that. There's very little left there at all. That's after 3 weeks. That's still quite warm in there in parts, so there's still some decomposition going on there. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to empty this one now, and I'm going to bury that in the soil because it's pretty much decomposed. I'm just going to dig a little hole here for fun. Let's see if we can see that with the power planter. Let's just make it easy to dig a hole. Oh, look at the glass in there. Look at that. I wonder you can't do much here. Okay, that's enough. Another bit of glass, bit of bottleneck. So basically I just wanted to dig a little hole and empty these contents into it so I can clear this other pot out to put the fresh pineapple in it. Because look, this is really pretty much soil now. So if we have a look in that pot now, it's pretty much empty. And now I'm just going to put the fresh pineapple in it. And that's roughly the same quantity of pineapple that I put in the other pot, but that has been soaking in the water for a week. But this is fresh. This is almost defrosted. When I say fresh, it wasn't a very good pineapple, come to think of it at the beginning. There's a little soldier fly casing. No, it's a little larva. So let's cover this up here. Bit more glass there. Okay. Cover that up there. And we'll put the lid on here. Now, if my suspicions are correct, the bush turkeys will dig down around this fairly easily, because remember that this pot wasn't level with the ground, so it's very easy to dig that out. So that'll be a good test to see if that fresh pineapple is going to attract that bush turkey. And it's only like literally 2 feet away from the other pot where it's got the fermented pineapple in it. So I'll just go and get some more grass clippings to throw on the top of there. And let's see what those good old bush turkeys do here in the next week. So this is pot number 4, and I've had to plant some wheat on the top of here during the week because I've got a fair on this weekend, so I needed to grow some wheatgrass for the fair. So I don't want to take that lid off. I'm just going to push that lid up out of there. And if you look closely, you can see the wheat growing in there. Now this was our pot that I added all that extra water to last week because it was so dry. There's a little soldier fly. And this is still, oh, there's lots more bugs in here now, but it's still very dry. And also because I've got that paper in here and the chucks cloth. So they're probably having a hard time trying to get through that. And there was a lot of dry ingredients in here too. Oh, see, it's still going mouldy. So you see, it can depend what you put in your pot as to how long it takes. And again, if I'd added more water to that from the very beginning, it probably wouldn't be this dry now. So we're not going to touch that, we're just going to leave that for another week, and that will easily take another week, unless of course I put some more water in there, which I'm not going to do. And you can see the little soldier flies there. So they've really grown in a week. They'll keep munching away. We'll just put this back on top. I've got to take that with me in about 2 days to go to the fair. So here we are at pot number 5, and I've got 2 lots of wheat growing, so this is the second one. You can see the wheat growing in there. And that's only in about 4 days, 5 days. So this was the one that had the sustagen and the Gatorade, and it's dried out again too much. Oh, look at that. That's quite warm too. So they're happy in there, and that's really actually very warm. Happy as a pig in mud. So that was that big blob that I had on top that was creating that little barrier, and this was the one full of all the ants. Well, the ants, there's still a couple of ants around, but it's certainly not what I'd call infested with ants. There's just a few little tiny, you know, they're big ants, but there's not masses and masses of them. There's still quite a bit of decomposition to go on there, but below here is very... it's still quite warm down there. You can see how that's well on its way to becoming soil. Look at that big one. He's a monster. And that's very warm in there. So that's why I say if you've got active soldier flies in there, they can actually stay active over winter if it's nice and warm in that pot. And if it gets too cold, they'll just hibernate in the surrounding soil. Look at the size of that one. Wow. There's still a few things that have taken a little bit of time to decompose. I'm not going to add any water to that again, just to see what happens. Normally I would, you know, as I say, in the course of watering your garden. So we'll leave that for another week, and this will be uncovered in a couple of days when I go to the fair, and I think we're going to get some rain. So the water will probably go in there and wet it. So see you in another 7 days. Thanks for watching.